My name is Cade Courtley, and this is Can You Survive This Podcast? This show is designed to teach you techniques that will increase your chances of survival if you happen to find yourself or your family in any life-threatening disaster scenario imaginable. Each episode will put you smack in the middle of a new disaster scenario as I challenge my guests to see if they have what it takes to get out alive. Knowledge is power, people. Can you survive this podcast? My fellow survivors, if you can hear the sound of my voice, it means you are still alive, and it is my continued mission to keep it that way. Welcome to another episode of Can You Survive This Podcast? I'm your host, Cade Courtley, and I am ecstatic about having another incredible, out-of-this-world guest today. I'm going to have to read this. Buckle up for this intro, folks. Our next guest is an emergency physician in the U.S. Army with subspecialty certification in primary care sports medicine. He is a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point and the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences in Bethesda, Maryland. Prior to his selection of NASA's 21st group of astronauts in 2013, he served in elite special operations units worldwide. Most recently, he served as flight engineer on the International Space Station for Expedition 60, 61, and 62. I guess 2 wasn't enough. And that's basically 9 months in space, folks, during which he conducted 7 spacewalks totaling 45 hours and 48 minutes. His flight spanned a total of 4,352 Earth orbits, a journey of over 115.3 million miles. Please welcome Dr. Andrew Richard Morgan. Drew, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cade. Glad to be here.
I warned you, and we do something in this show called Hypothetical Survival World. Now, we put one of your counterparts through this. She did pretty well. I can't tell you how well, but in Hypothetical Survival World, Drew, I'm going to drop you into a hypothetical situation where you will be in a life-threatening environment, and you have to choose over a period of 10 events whether you choose A or B. And just like you will get plus 10 points for choosing the right one, minus 10 for choosing the wrong one. Because of your education and your experience, I am open to your arguments if you think you've chosen the right one. Nailed it. And all right?
Okay.
So if you're ready, here we go. Okay, Drew. You're finishing up a training flight in your T-38 outside of Houston when you see an incredibly bright light to the north. Okay? You realize what this is. There has been a 10 kiloton nuclear blast north of downtown Houston, approximately 30 miles away. Any questions so far about your scenario before I hit you with the first choice?
I'm not in the T-38 anymore, am I?
You're in the T-38 when you see this, but here is your first decision. Okay, 30 miles to the north of you, in a T-38. Do you head to the south full throttle, or do you immediately try and do an emergency landing on a nearby highway? 30 miles.
30 miles away from us?
30 miles away, nuclear blast. You just saw the light. You know what's coming next.
Boy, I don't know that I could do the math calculation to figure out how fast we could travel away.
I can help you. I can help you, but go with your instincts here.
Yeah, I think we need to get on the ground.
Absolutely.
There's very little that a T-30 about a nuclear detonation that I think that a T-38.
What would be max speed on a T-38 roughly?
I mean, we can be supersonic, but not for very long. And that's the thing that anybody that's flown a T-38 knows, that it doesn't have long legs, not a lot of fuel, and so we wouldn't get very far.
You might have been able to. So I did the math ahead of time again because, well, you're an astronaut and I had too much fun in college. So a blast wave is coming immediately following that bright light. They travel at roughly the speed of sound. So let's call it 740 miles per hour for easy math. You're 30 miles away. At that speed, you have about 2 minutes. So if you could get to supersonic and maintain it for greater than 2.5 minutes, you might be able to, but I think your instincts are, let's get this thing on the ground as soon as possible. So congratulations, you're already plus 10 out of the gate. You managed to get this thing down. You get out of it. Are you going to run to a nearby gas station, or are you going to get into a ditch?
Oh, I'm going to get into a ditch.
Oh, hell yeah. Why would you get into a ditch vice a gas station?
Oh, I don't want to be above ground level if I can avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just got out of something that's potentially explosive in that T-38. Why do you want to go run into something else that's full of fuel? So absolutely. All right, so you find yourself in this ditch. The blast wave is coming. Do you curl up in a ball, or do you lay on your stomach?
So I'm in the ditch. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna lay on my stomach, probably face down, cover my head.
Exactly. A lower cross section, obviously, right? Yeah, and another thing we learned going through SEAL training, because we had to deal with a lot of training when you're nearby a major explosion, is you keep your mouth open and you cover your ears, so any of those, as you know as a doctor, anything that holds air isn't going to blow up like a balloon. You're already at an easy plus 30, which is exactly where Miss Muir was at this point. So it's head to head for the two astronauts. All right, blast wave goes over you. Do you stay in the ditch, or do you get up and get away from that gas station, which is just to the right of you? This is a softball.
So I mean, at some fallout becomes a consideration here. So is this like a covered gas station?
No, but it's right next to you, and stuff's flying around, and you can stay.
So if there's a so the blast wave has passed. This is just it's a structure of some sort, right?
Not anymore. It's not. But it was a gas station, and we know what those things have.
Well, I'd stay in the ditch.
Well, what I would recommend is getting away from what is potentially going to be an after the fact issue with fuel and damage and heat and exploding. This is really significant if you find yourself taking shelter maybe next to a large building. I always say once you stop hearing objects impacting, you want to get 3 times away from the maximum height, because these things are all going to start tumbling down. Given the fact this is a gas station and it didn't go up necessarily, vice what you'd want to do with a building, I'm going to call it an even on that one. Not a plus, but not a minus. Okay? No, it's a fair one. All right. So you look around, and what do you see in the distance? Just like you were talking about, you see a large mushroom cloud. You also remember from the fact that you were just flying heavy southern winds. Mushroom cloud is north of you. Fallout is probably about 45 minutes away. So you look around, get out of the ditch. To the left, a brand new SUV. To the right, an old ranch pickup. Which one are you going to try and get in and get out of there in?
I would get in the old pickup. I don't want anything with microchips in it.
Absolutely. So we touched on the EMP. What happens, folks, is when you have a nuclear blast like this, modern electronics, generally speaking, especially if running, are fried. Old school ranch truck, heavy steel frame and body. It's going to help you out down the road as well. So, boom, plus 40. Here we go. So, again, fallout to the north, heading towards you. Do you drive directly south away from the fallout, or do you go east or west?
So I think what it was, stay tangent to it.
Perpendicular?
Yeah, which, so you said it's north and...
Yep, so here's the fallout. Imagine a river of fallout. Are you going to run away from the river, or are you going to go perpendicular east or west?
I go perpendicular east or west.
Absolutely. Drive to the left or the right of it. The thing will catch up with you. It's just going to be a matter of time. Get perpendicular away from it, plus 50. All right, Here we go, Doc. Keep going here. All right. You're 20 minutes into this drive away, and of course, gridlock. Not going anywhere. People are freaking out. You have to get out of this old truck that took good care of you. And are you going to try and seek shelter, or are you just going to keep running in that perpendicular direction? 20 minutes until the fallout hits you.
What type of shelter is available?
We'll get to that. But you either have to make up a mindset of, I'm going for shelter, or I'm just going to keep running in this perpendicular direction and try and get out of the fallout.
I mean, relatively cover very, I can, in 20 minutes, I'm not going to cover maybe much more than a mile. So
you can run better than a 20-minute mile. Come on, you were in the Army.
Okay, that's true.
3 miles. Let's go 3 miles.
About rucksack.
Yeah. You're doing sub-sevens right now because you see a fallout coming your way.
Okay, so that's three additional miles in that same direction versus seek shelter.
Yep.
What shelter is available?
We'll get to that if you decide to choose that option.
Okay, I choose the option.
Look, yeah, that was smart. I showed my cards on that one. Absolutely. Look, folks, yeah, you might run a little bit more and increase, but you just had a 10-kiloton nuclear explosion with an enormous mushroom cloud. It's time to seek shelter. So here is your options for shelter. Now, think about everything you can remember in school about a nuclear explosion, and this will help you out. Blast wave has already gone on. To the right, a wood-framed warehouse. To the left, a 10-story brick building. But the brick building is about a half a block further. Closest wood-framed warehouse, or a little further, a 10-story brick building.
So this is basically about a question about shielding. Which shield's better? Maybe. So, I mean, wood, I don't know why wood would be a better shield than brick, but you have to run further to the brick. I'm going to go with brick.
Absolutely going with brick, and you nailed it with the shielding. Folks, the next thing you're worried about, other than the fallout that's coming down on you, alpha, beta, and gamma rays, and their ability to penetrate, and how that's going to create a worse situation with radiation sickness, etc. So you make it to this 10-story brick building. You get inside. Do you A, start gathering supplies, or B, strip off the outer layer of your clothes?
Definitely got to get rid of the clothing.
And explain that as a doctor why you want to do that.
Radioactive material that is already deposited on it, you could get rid of probably, I don't know what the figure would say, 75 to 85% just by getting rid of the outer layer of clothing.
That's exactly right, Drew. And a specific best way to do this is you want to pull it down and away, not up and over your face, nose, mouth, eyes, ears, all that stuff that would love to absorb that. So down and away. Okay, so here we go. This is for bragging rights. Ready? One left. You're in this brick building. Do you head to the basement or do you climb up?
Don't have great rationale, but it just seems like okay. So the building this building has already survived the blast wave, so it's tenuous at best, but it is still standing. But I just feel like being underground and out of the way seems like a better place than being way high up on a building. So I'm going to go with the basement.
Absolutely, plus 90 points. And you already talked about the shielding. If you go down, not only are you going to have the foundation, but you're going to have Mother Earth helping you shield. You go up, windows, fallout, alpha, beta, gamma, all coming through, penetrating. Drew, plus 90. You more than survived a nuclear blast. You survived a landing during a nuclear blast. That's got to be a first somewhere, all right? Gus Grissom's got nothing on you for that one. So congratulations, plus 90. Oh, this is going to break your heart, though. Just Kamir got 100.
That's a surprise you one bit. Doesn't surprise you one bit.
I'm sorry, but I threw zombies at her, so she earned it with the zombies. So I would call it an even score with you guys. Hey, we do something here, and you're very familiar with this being in the military, an AAR, an after action review. Anything that you picked up during our time together, you're like, oh yeah, never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it never really occurred to me that the Leapfrogs were a parachute team that was even remotely in the ballpark with the Golden Knights and the Black Knights.
Well played, well played. Hey, Drew Morgan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you do for our country, for your time.
Hey, it was great talking to you. It was a lot of fun, and I recommend that you chat with some of our SEAL astronauts, Johnny Kim and Chris Cassidy, both good friends of mine. So it's been a lot of fun to talk with you. Thank you for your service.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Let's see if we can't jump out of a plane sometime soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, and thank you so much. Hey, thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed the show, go ahead and smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. Any questions or suggestions for future episodes, leave it in the comments so you can be a survivor, not a statistic. And if you want more from this guest, including an amazing interview, you can find us on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Can You Survive This Podcast is a Cavalry audio production, recorded live from the bunker in Denver, Colorado. Hosted by me, Cade Courtley. Produced by Brandon Morgan and Cade Courtley. Associate producer is Jeff Apple. Executive produced by Keegan Rosenberger and Dana Brunetti. When the public health crisis known as COVID-19 hit our nation back in March, the Gary Sinise Foundation mobilized quickly to launch the Emergency COVID-19 Combat Service. This national campaign supports medical professionals, first responders, service members, veterans, and all of those who so courageously stand on the front lines of this global pandemic. Whether they are providing critical PPE to first responders, care packages to our military service members, or meals to medical professionals and hospitals, this campaign is an extension of the Gary Sinise Foundation's mission to honor those who so bravely protect our nation. Support our heroes today at GarySiniseFoundation.org.